Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to another edition of the Brothers of Legacy. I am your host, A.D. Walker. I appreciate you guys for rocking and hanging with us. As always, make sure you share. Sharing is caring. Sharing is caring. Make sure you are tagging someone. Let everybody know that the Brothers of Legacy are in the building. I appreciate you this morning. Always rocking and being a part. So today we're talking about do men struggle with being emotionally available? Excuse me. Blessings, Lisa. Blessings. Thank you for being here. Anybody on the text service, and if you're watching this on replay from the text service, be sure to good morning, Willette. I went blank there. Good morning, Jesus Girl Behavior Willette. Good morning, good morning. Thank you for being here. Again, make sure you share. Share is caring. Share to your page. Text somebody. Take the link, copy it, text somebody to be a part of this conversation. I appreciate you guys rocking and being here this morning. Make sure you watch Purposeful Forever tonight. We got some great content as well. And I appreciate you guys again being here. Thank you for always sharing. Thank you for always supporting. Brothers of Legacies is trying to do some great things in the community, and your support is definitely appreciated. So like I said, if you know some other brothers, definitely tag them, get them in these conversations, because I know you've talked to other people about these particular topics and subjects and all that and then some. So make sure you let them know what's going on with the Brothers of Legacy. Let them know that this is a space to really share and to grow. All right. So we're going to have a great broadcast today, an amazing broadcast today. We're going to kind of get deep into being emotionally available, and are we, and am I, all that. So prayerfully, Pastor should be coming through this morning, but if not, it's just going to be and I'll just be holding it down. All right. So hang tight. We're going to go ahead and kick this off. We'll be right back after this. I want to welcome you to the Brothers of Legacy broadcast, where we are changing our community one conversation at a time, every day.
We are creating a new legacy.
Change gon' come, change gon' come, change gon' come, change gon' come, change gon' come.
A co-op has to start with ownership. Right. We have a mindset of either I want to make a lot of money or survive. Make a bunch of money or I got to figure out how to survive.
When you have a real bond, when everyone has, we come in with real expectations. Because this is this is covenant.
The whole premise is that we as a people, with our money and time, aren't often making this general possible, often vested in the legacy.
You're watching the Brothers of Legacy. We don't stand out. We stand up.
All right. Welcome back, everybody. Again, like I said, today we are talking about. Hey, Kathy. Good morning. Good morning. Hey, Mama McCory. Good morning. Greetings. Again, like I said, today we're talking about do men struggle with being emotionally available, and we're discussing as far as in our relationships, are we trying to be Superman or are we listening to the heart of those that are speaking to us, and understanding where they're coming from. So that is our topic today. Again, make sure you share. Sharing is caring. Let everybody know that the brothers are in the building as we go through this. So just keeping it 100. If it's just me today, you might see this topic again because I want to get some other brothers in this space, to talk about this as well. So what's emotional availability, and how do I kind of describe it, or I would kind of define it in this space? To me, being emotionally available, is just having the listening ear to hear the heart of someone and respond accordingly. And what I mean by accordingly is to kind of like, if whatever, when they come to you, it's the response that they want, as far as it may not always be favorable, but it's at least based on the lines of how the conversation is going. So either they're going to want help, a solution in this particular space, or just a listening ear. And sometimes just that listening ear to hear the heart of what they're saying is one of the what I consider being emotionally available. Being there to listen to your spouse, a friend, and all those in between, even your children, to be there to comfort or console, and really understand what someone is going through. And certain instances are easier, and why I do the quotation marks is like if it's death, birth, the big event kind of things, there's always something to pull from to be available. It becomes challenging if it's something that you have dealt with or deal with as a man, and you don't consider it that important. That's some of the challenges of being available, because sometimes people struggle with things differently, or face certain challenges differently than others, and that's the part of being really available. What up, Okini? Good morrow. What up, brother? Thank you for rocking. So some of the keys of being emotionally available starts with having a empathy or understanding what someone is dealing with or going through. Pastor and I have talked before in previous broadcasts about, even with your kids, right? Certain things that happen can crush their world, basically because they're young, and this is the first time experiencing something so big. Good morning, Deborah. Happy Monday to you as well. Something so huge that it changes things. Good morning, Keita. Good morning. Happens, so big for them, it changes their world. Whereas for you, you might have been through it several times, and at this point, it's considered, par for the course. This is just part of life. But in the moment that your child needs you, you can't brush it off, because for them, this thing is big. This is their first time, especially, let's just say, heartbreak. They had their heart crushed, and if my son comes to me with his heart crushed, I can't just be like, it'll be all right, son, you get through it. For him, this is the first time, like, this thing I had trust right here that I've been holding on to, and it's been mine, and this person comes in my world, and I take it. I say, here's my heart. Here's all my issues and my thoughts and stuff I've kind of been keeping to myself, that I've half shared to my parents, half shared to my sister. I'm giving it to you all. And this person does something, cheats, leaves, just don't want to be bothered, and just boom, crushes all of who I am. And in my first experience, I'm like devastated. I'm done. No more relationships. I'm never doing that ever again. And we all know that's not a good thing, because other relationships will come along. The right person will come along. And to really have a healthy relationships, you have to be willing to take that whole trust and all that again and share it. So those are the moments, that we have to be the most empathetic. We have to know that we have to see the person from where they are and who they are, and how, you know, one, this is their first time. Two, their reactions to things are different. You know, all those things, all those factors, and be emotionally available, especially as a man, to try to sit through it and be compassionate. You know, have to be to the point they're open to talk to you. Right? Exactly. And have the conversation. You know, and ease through it. You know, because you're right, Rollins. They may not be ready to have the conversation. You know, they just have the sad face and they're struggling, and I don't want to eat, I don't want to breathe, I don't want to get up out of bed. You know, and you know, we're like, oh man, you know, I get it, they're crushed. You know, but we have to be like kind of like empathetic, sympathetic, and just being able to push them out of that space gently. You know, like, I get it, you know, but you can't let this stop your life. I get it. You're hurt. You feel broken. You feel like your world is just ended. That was your soulmate, you know, and you're only 17, you know, like, but you can't let this stop you from becoming who you are, you know, and as a relationship, you're like, you see, me and mom, we're good, you know, you can find somebody great. It's just, it takes time. It is a risk. Love is a risk, but you have to be willing to, you know, get back on the horse, and all that advice we can give, and just listen, you know, and hug and listen. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay, you know. But we can't just blow it off, you know, in those instances. So I think, especially as a man, having the ability to slow down and just process and listen, even with you know, your friends, you know, listening to them in their issues and situations. And like I said, sometimes, and just coming from a male perspective, you know, when you've been through certain things, and or not even been through, but your personality, like for me, like, stuff don't really stick to me like that, especially if it comes from outside the house. You know, it don't really stick to me like that. You know, the only people that can say little that sticks is my wife and my kids. You know, outside of that, you know, you might shake me a little, but I can pretty much brush it off and not really focus on it a whole lot, you know. But when you're dealing with your friends and things of that nature, and they don't, or they're dealing with something that, you know, if it was you, you're like, why are you letting this thing stick to you, like, you know, like, because in your you know, for my personality, I'm like, I had to let that thing slide right off. I'm like Teflon. But for them, because of who they are, you know, they're all in with every relationship. You know, their heart is like all the way out there from the get up. Like, I meet you, you're cool, my heart's all the way out there. So, you know, and not saying there's something wrong with it, because I applaud folks that just kind of jump in, take the risk. It is what it is, right? Consider the source of where it's coming from, right? That's huge. But most available, does it mean you're going to respond like I envision in my head? Ooh. Oh, are men really not available, or do they just respond like men from a different perspective? I think that's a big one too. I tell my son, this too shall pass, just pick yourself up. Yeah, yeah. You know, but I think also, Keeney, and I'm gonna get back to Sam's response. The pick yourself up, you know, and let's keep moving is great, but we still got to be there if, you know, for the, what do they call it, the residue of hurt that may be sitting, you know, because what we don't want, personally, like, if you think about it, is you don't want your children getting through it or getting past it, but carrying either hate or carrying something that's gonna damage their next relationship. You know, you want to make sure they're whole again. if that makes sense. Like they learn, but they're at least still whole. Like I'm still willing to take a chance in a relationship. I'm still willing to love somebody the same way I love someone else. There might be those little things that you watch for. Like you might even known the girl or known the boy and just like, like remember the thing I told you about when they did this. This is what I saw. Just little tidbits of obvious things. Of course, as an adult, you like, you don't see that. I know. You're so young. You don't see what I see. But not to carry things that is going to hinder or they want the person to be before they share. You understand what I'm saying? So I think those things we have to watch for as well. We get through it, the tears, dry up, but what does it look like on the other side? True, because it said hurt people, right? Also don't bleed over the next person, right? Who didn't cut you. And that's the main thing. Like they'll get through it, but I don't want them to get through it so fast that they carry something, boom, boom, boom. This is what never gonna happen to me again, and then they never really get into another relationship because they've stacked up all these requirements before they share. It's cool to have the intuition, to see certain things, but it's another thing to have such a stack of stuff in front of me, like, you don't stack up. I can't see you. All right. And so Sam was saying, is it really not emotional availability, or are men just kind of responding the way men respond? Different perspective. That is true. But I think as a man, we have to try to see it from another perspective, because that goes to kind of like certain situations, that things just roll off me, you just it sticks to you. So I have to understand how you're dealing with this thing, in order to help maybe advise you or be there, because, like if the question comes up, of course, like if this happened to you, how would you handle it? Then I could be like, boom, for me, it wouldn't stick because this is my mindset. This is where I categorize a lot of my relationships, until I let them into a certain space maybe. And then just processing and not letting it sit on you though. It's like, don't let it sit on you because it hinders you. It ruins any other opportunities for other relationships, because there's people that have been burned in business relationships. And let's get specific. Some people have been burned with other black people, and if it's happened like 3 times, they're done. And granted, if it's been consecutively, like every black person I try to get in business with, I get burned. There could come a time that you're just like, you know what? I'm done with dealing with black businesses. I'm done with dealing with black people. This always happens, right? And it gets categorized. And we all know that as black people, that's not necessarily true. Either it's where you're picking people. It could be a whole kind of situation. You keep going to the same places to find your partners, or your connections, and not vetting them properly. Go to somebody that you trust. And if that person knows this person, they can properly tell you how this person moves or operates. So I think having that different perspective, but being with prayerfully I'm using the word correctly, like empathy, understanding how they're feeling or walking in their shoes to see it from their point of view, is definitely necessary. Because if we are not understanding of what someone else is going through, it's hard to really advise them about how to approach something or how to deal with something else, because like I said, each one of us has a certain layer of tough skin when it comes to certain things. Some people, like when it comes to money, super sensitive, they may be giving, and they might have had great results in the past, which makes them super givers. Like, oh yeah, boom, communities I've been in, I give, you give back, this boom, boom, boom. And then when it goes bad, It's like, wait a minute, I'm not used to this. I don't know how to handle this, you know. And for me, it's like I've been burned a lot, so you know. But it's got to give that empathy, combined with your perspective, and being sensitive to the listener, because we can't go in with a jackhammer to try to change things. A lot of times, sometimes it's a chisel approach, you know, especially with your kids. It's a chisel approach because you come in too hot. Like, you should have known this. Why'd you be so dumb? How you fall for this? I see this. But one, your children have just experienced relationships. Two, you've been alive a lot longer. And three, they're a lot more sensitive than you are. So we have to be mindful. And like I said, so being emotionally available is just having an open ear and being able to hear the heart of the person you're dealing with, hear the heart of what the other person is going through. And, you know, for me, I'm still working on it. I get it wrong a lot. But it's sometimes it's circling back and trying to make it right. Because for me, I'm like quick on my feet when it comes to certain things. And I process it. And I do, like, you ever, like, something happens and you do a mental review of how could a situation have gone differently or better, and then you assess and you're like, oh, this is the way I should have approached it. This is what I said. This is what I should have done. So for me, I'm a circle backer. If possible, because sometimes you lose an opportunity. But I try to circle back if I miss something, especially if it's in the house, your kids, your spouse, friends, those that you have numbers that haven't blocked you yet. You know, you have to take the opportunity to fess up and mess up and take it back. Okini says, never had that figure to say, son, do it this way or that way. Wasn't until my wife advised me that I shouldn't come in hot, right? Right. Or you'll lose your kids' trust. Right. You want to come in hot because then I want to talk to you. My conversation changes on top of the fact that they will never come to. Right. They never come to you. They never come to you. I remember Pastor said that. And I had to realize that. Like, even with our own, you know, just some things trying to get them to talk about and say. And I realize when it comes to certain situations, if I come in too hot, and I've come in hot on certain things, and I've had to rebuild and open up the conversation again. If you come in too hot, then who, you know, because even as an adult, if I'm at a job and one little thing goes wrong and I'm like, I need to try to mitigate any other loss, and I go to my boss about it and he blow up, I'm gonna just try to fix it myself. Like, I'm gonna try to figure it out, fix it, and honestly, keeping 100, I'm probably gonna just make it worse. But I'd rather just be bad, and then when you come in hot, it's more justified. Okini says, so with this, I altered my thoughts and approach, plus dress it according to age range. Right, I can't talk to my 14-year-old like I would my 10-year-old. Yeah, indeed. And then knowing like the maturity level of your children, knowing where they're at, is always key. And keeping it real, like, maturity level is hard to tell sometimes, because, you know, you don't really know how much your kids have been exposed to. Like, we try to do our best job to kind of limit how much stuff our kids are exposed to, but keeping 100, you know, there are moments, you know, if they're on TV, you know, online looking for something, you never know what exposure they're gonna get, or they go visit somebody. You know, some other households let their children give a lot more freedom, you know, so we don't know what, and keeping 100, we've all been 14 and exposed to stuff that we definitely should not have been exposed to at 14, you know. So knowing all those factors, like, you try to judge where your maturity level of your kids are, but yeah, definitely handling them in a manner that can help them and not hinder them. And you know, if anything, I can never impress as as a parent to parent the other people that are parents out there, you know, you want to definitely keep the line of communication open, and that's just a given. You definitely want to keep the lines of communication open, because you know, losing that is I can imagine like the hardest thing. You know, I'm grateful that we still have, you know, our kids that's still at that in the house stage, so we're still talking and stuff like that. I never want to lose them, you know, and I'd rather come in colder than I should as far as a situation like, all right, we're gonna work through this, it's gonna be all right, than coming in hot. You know, like where I'm justified for blowing my top. But, you know, to me, like, we're big on them coming to us, tell the truth, you know, because like the kids do. You know, something happened, who did this? I ain't do it. And we always like, so where's the third kid in this house that's doing stuff, you know, because that's more aggravating than anything. Because sometimes if we could figure out what happened, getting to the solution would be easier, you know, like, okay, so this broke, but this broke here. There's a bigger break somewhere else that they know about, but because they don't want to admit that they did it, they're not going to tell us the pipe is really busted all the way there, you know, and then we could save a lot of headache and heartache, right? Right. That boogeyman that's been under the bed is wreaking havoc in the house, right? The ghost. So, it's definitely big that we are as men being emotionally available, and so, you know, I have this conversation because I want you guys to kind of just to be available, because I know life is hard and you get home, you're tired, but have that listening ear, you know, especially, you know, for everybody, because that may be the moment that your child is on the breaking point. And I'm not saying like suicide, but just going through something and just needs that listening ear for you just to say in your tired voice, like, I hear you. It's gonna be okay. I'm here. You know, and you know, however long it takes to have the conversation, you know, your child may be like at 1,000. Like, if I don't talk to somebody, I'm gonna retaliate. You know, like, I'm gonna do something dumb that's gonna ruin the rest of my life. So it's having that listening and being able to be available. And like I said, not just there, but be there emotionally, and do your best to not try to fix it, but to try to listen, you know. And if that silent point where it's like, so you want a solution, that's when you offer it. Because sometimes people don't want a solution. You know, we know the dumb stuff we do. We know the decisions we make. I know what needs to be done. I just need a little comfort in my stupidity right now. You know, I just need a little comfort. I just need you to tell me it's gonna be all right. And yes, I know what I need to do next time. I know, but just give me the grace to tell you what I did, and let me just get it out so I can feel better. You know, so we just gotta be there. I think as men, as the patriarchs of our family, as we're leaders and we're leading and we're praying and we're being there, that, you know, it's like this the next level, right? The first level, you know, for a lot of black men in their households was like, I'm gonna be there in the house. I'm there. You know, they might have grown up without their dad, but I'm gonna be there. Okini says, my oldest came to me one day. I said, not now. Oh man. He turned and dejected, and I went on. My wife said, this is what I keep telling you. So I stopped what I was doing and spoke with him. Situation at school that hurt him, spoke, and we handled it. Yes. Good job, man. Because yeah. Trust me, I know. Life happens. I'm tired. I've already had other people's problems all day. I just want to come home in my safe space and relax. But, you know, your team, your number one team needs you. This is your team. You know, this is your ministry. This is your church. They need you. You know, they need your attention. They need your love. They need your availability. They just need you to listen. Listen, listen, listen. And then respond accordingly. And we don't want to miss those moments. We don't want to miss them because sometimes you can't circle back. Sometimes it's a almost life and death of your relationship, and can cause a rift, make things harder, and now it takes more work to fix than it is just to actively listen. So today I just kind of want to challenge you guys. Any rifts in any relationships that you have, try to mend them. Those that are continuing on, Team Reed, right, right, very true. Team Reed, and that's how you gotta look at it, because I think the hardest thing that happens is, and my wife said this, I'm out saving the world, and everybody says Ant is just dope. He's the bomb. He just nailed it. He the man. And I come home and I ain't the man at the house, because and not in the sense of not handling business, but they're not getting that same energy. I'm giving everybody else all this. Boom, I got you. This 1,000%. Bam, handling, fixing, changing, moving, selling, creating. But when it comes to the house, they get the leftovers. They get what's left of me. And that's kind of like my next level of change and challenge. Just not to give them the leftovers. What up, Richard? Good morning, sir. Not to give the change and the leftovers, but give them most of my energy. Like my investment should be at home first, and then everybody else should get what's left. Of course you do your 100% on your job and everything, but your home is super important. Sometimes you gotta, pull up, do the reset, clock in the home. Like, boom, I'm ready. What's going on? And the thing is, when my kids were younger, the energy level was boom, high. so for me, I had the kids, Daddy, running. They hug me, slide down to my legs, and then I'm doing the leg walk. They're looking forward to it. That's what they're waiting for. Doing the leg walk, and we miss out on moments because we're too busy saving the world, but we're not protecting our family. We're not investing into our family. I don't want to say protecting, because I know most guys are like, I'm protected, I'm there. But investing back into our families, because that's our real legacy. That's our future. I would rather my kids say how great I was than anybody else. My wife to say, when I'm gone, it's like, yo, that was a solid dude. I love him. He did great things for us. Not just the world, but for us. Because that's where your legacy lies. I think, there's a time we just got so caught up in the financial legacy. I believe in an emotional legacy, where you're leaving your children with something that they can build upon, relationships. Because honestly, wealth is built upon relationships. And if your children don't know how to handle that, yeah, they may earn, but they're gonna burn a lot of people in the process. Whereas if they know how to build healthy relationships, they will never have to worry about money. Because understanding connection, like sometimes money has no value when it comes to certain situations. When emergencies happen and bad things happen, if Okini has the scarcity of resources, a stranger's not gonna get no matter how much money they got. But if someone he knows or loves comes to him, he's more likely to share, even without money, because relationships matter. Relationships matter. So again, we appreciate you guys for rocking It's Brothers of Legacy. Just quick reset. We're talking about, do men struggle with being emotionally available? Do men struggle with being emotionally available? I won't say a complete yes. I think sometimes we just struggle with compartmentalizing, and moments when Our families are looking for an emotional investment, and we've already invested in other places, and we're not giving where we should into our households. And like I said, I've been guilty of all this. I'm not just the president, I'm also a client. And it's key that, so yes, you know what? We'll let overall impactful legacy, wealth, emotionally, physically, spiritually. But honestly, like going back to Sam's comment, we are reacting based on our perspective. Like you said, are men really not available, or do they just respond like men from a different perspective? And I think women, respond from their perspective. So it's definitely key that we are trying to be as empathetic and sympathetic as possible. So we're not trying to make this emotional decisions for you guys in haste. Whereas we just take our time, listen, and sometimes, my wife sometimes just needs to vent. I just need to get it out. Today's the day. I just need to get it out. Because, there was a time I think she started venting about something, and I felt like, I was like, oh man, she's so negative. But then I realized it's just stuff that's bothering her, and she just needed a sounding board. Hey, good morning, V. She just needed a sounding board to get out what she was dealing with. She's got to say it out loud. She don't need any advice. She don't need any help. She just frustrated with the situation, frustrated with what's going on. And this is kind of like her process. I do it a little bit. I try to share, especially because she see my face, like it's all on your face. I know this thing is bothering me, because we had situations like, I know this thing is bothering you, and it's like I would feel like admitting that it's bothering me is like, what would I say, letting something take residence in your mind that you should be letting go. So it's like, I need to just let it go. Talking about it, it's not letting it go. But I had to realize, saying it out loud, speaking about it, and just talking about the frustration of it, is a way of getting through it. Okini says, could be old school thoughts as well. Men are just used to working and providing physically, never really emotionally. Back then, that worked. I don't really think it worked back then. And that's a whole nother conversation. Like the way things used to be, yeah, they weren't as good. It's just everybody did it. It seemed like it was normal. What's happening in this house stays in this house. Realize 15, 20 years later, all the abuse and the molestations and all the things that happened in households that nobody talked about. And now we have a broken generation of folks that have been sexually molested and things of that nature. So you know what I'm saying? Like, so the emotional detachment, and it's because it's crazy. Because I hear you, okay? Because grew up in that same, like you, in that same time where, Dad wasn't really an emotional dude. We had a few talks, but never nothing deep emotion. I never felt open to really discuss it. And I always say, parents did what they knew, how they grew up, and nothing really shifted, because it's like, just like many things, you feel like it works. So, I think, but I would see TV, and I think it was almost like a propaganda thing that was trying to shift how we looked at families. And then there were some families, I guess, that were really like that. But, you seen like the Cosby Show, and you seen like Family Matters, where Carl will sit down on the couch and talk to his son and talk to the daughter and have emotional conversations of hurt and stuff going through and things of that nature. And then the other, like the older white shows, I can't even remember I'm trying to think of the one where my man used to come in the house and trip over the ottoman, but you don't remember that one. And so, you grew up watching shows that you see men being emotionally available, you know, whether they were like that in real life, but on the show, this is what we seen. And I think that is the moment that I watch and I realize that's what I wanted to bring into my household, trying to be more emotionally available, but without a physical blueprint. It's kind of like figuring that out on my own, in a sense. Like, all right, being there, you know, from the moment I had my son, you know, coming home and getting the energy to be with him, you know. Like my wife would tell, you know, the stories. I used to come home and like the family be over, I grab my son, we go in the room and we have our time, you know. But just purposely being available, being there, you know, through all the teaching moments, from the crawl to the walk to the first words, you know, being there, and trying to listen if you know the little baby problems, you know, anything going on, what hurts, you know, and just trying to be more emotionally available. What I realized, there you go, be the Dick Van Dyke Show, right? That was it. And then there was a Daddy's Knows Best. I think that was a show too. Correct me if I was wrong. And you know, just being emotionally available, being there, and some of the next level stuff is, you know, had the baby moments, had the toddler moments, but it's where they at now. It's just trying to get good with that, you know, because it's easy, the baby, the toddler, because they tell you what hurts, what's going on, and they'll talk your ear off, even if they're not saying much. You know, like my daughters was always had like 1,000 questions, like 1,000, and I would say, all right, you got 10 questions a day, you know, and that was the part moving into like, what do they call it? I guess like teenage years, adolescence. I don't know if that's the proper place. Like somewhere between toddler and teenage. You know, just that growing up, being available, and learning to be available now as they rolling into the teenage years. Just being able to listen and hear where they're coming from and not sit on their mistakes. You know. And you know, like my son going through a little something, but it's just like just hearing him out when it comes to certain situations and things like that. So I think just that's, you know, part of just as a dad, just being emotionally available for that at this phase, at this stage. Not that you're trying to fix everything, but I'm just trying to listen, trying to be there, trying to be a relief in their crazy adolescent teenage world, you know, because like I said, the big things that can crush their world or keep them from growing, that can ruin future relationships, just trying to make sure that they come out of this house whole, and then them knowing how to deal with issues that can kind of chip away at their wholeness, if that makes sense, and being there as they're going into their 20s and 25s and 30s, and being there so that when things happen, it doesn't chip away from their wholeness. They get a revelation, they get some wisdom, they learn something, but they don't get stuck. You know, not to get stuck in a space where they can't grow and move forward. You know, that they can't find the right person that fits who they are, because they're so, like I said, they got the wall up. And even with friendships, you know, you go through the ups and downs and the rebounds, and you know, you get to the point, you know, somebody get older and just boom, it's cutting everybody off. Boom, 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 boom. But as you get older, you realize you need folk. You need people around you. You need, you know, to have that connectivity to help you grow. You know, if you ever like study most successful people, they're not doing it by themselves. They might be the name up front, but there are people behind them that are helping them grow helping them become better, helping them do more. So it just takes us being emotionally available, being a real friend. And what I mean by that is just being a listening ear, being there emotionally when they're struggling. And like I said, just your first ministry is investing back into your household and then saving the world. And I definitely want to push that upon everybody, no matter what you're doing, what career, whatever your focus is, make sure your family's good first. Not just financially, but emotionally. Make sure they're not tapped out. That's why you got kids that are sometimes just angry or, sad or upset or withdrawn because they've lacked that emotional availability, or just very clingy because they may have lacked that emotional availability, and they just trying to get every drop of love that they can get. So make sure we are there. Make sure we are as men leading the pack, and then offering a hug outside of the house, as far as to like kids and things like that kids may need and things of that nature. Being a real, like our motto, we don't stand out, we stand up. So we just standing up for our community, being there, being available emotionally. All right. Again, so I appreciate you guys for rocking and hanging with us. Another edition of the Brothers of Legacy. I am your man, Mr. A.D. Walker, the pusher, the grower, the motivator. We look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. Same time, same channel. Listen, thank you guys for hanging. Just me, the brother. Make sure you share. Make sure you share. If you're on YouTube, thank you, Mama Corey, I appreciate it. If you're on YouTube, make sure you hit that thumbs up, look just like this, and hitting that subscribe button. And if you're not subscribed, if you're not on YouTube, go there real quick to the Brothers of Legacy. You'll see the little symbol. Click on it, subscribe, hit thumbs up. I almost want to push everybody over there just to get all my views in one space, but I know Facebook matters. I appreciate it, Lisa. Thank you so much. Oh, as well as make sure you are joining our text community. Text LWN to 84576. Text LWN to 84576. Never miss a broadcast. Always know what the Brothers of Legacy are doing, as well as Purposeful Forever, the Sister Legacy. It's our Legacy Walker Network. And never miss out. And I think that's it. So listen, I need you guys to continue to stay safe. I don't know, it seems like the mask mandate is kind of wavering off. I know Beijing had lockdown, so we don't know what's going on. I don't know what Fauci said recently. So all I know is I'm probably be one of those dudes, the last one with the mask on when nobody got a mask, just cuz. Just cuz. So continue to stay safe, do the right thing. Know that we love you, God loves you more. And as I close with my AD Walker-ness, know that purpose is in you, greatness is before you, destiny is waiting. All right, we'll see you tonight at 8 o'clock. As always, we love you. Know that God loves you more.